right, how are you doing? He's hoping that all is well with you. Many thanks for joining us right here on Debate 411. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. If you want to get interactive on the program, you can definitely tweet us at Debate 411 or tweet me directly at Eugene Anangwe. The hashtag to use is Debate 411. Today on the program, Debate 101 meets Debate 411. We're talking about the issue of Article 101, plus, of course, many other developing issues on this particular article regarding the third term or the term limits right in the program. With me in the program is Rama Isibo, who's a blogger, and we have a legal expert and a scholar, Benjamin, making it for the second time on the program. Welcome to Debate 411.
Thank you.
Rama, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And we have Richard, who's also a legal expert on the program. Today, what we want to make clear is that we want to hear from the non-politicians. Before we will go on with the program, is anybody here a politician? All right, so we are good, right? So let's start off very quickly, because there are some people, or some bloggers actually, who have termed this whole conversation around third term or the third term limits as a non-issue so far, that there is no debate actually. And I would love to understand, first of all, from your perspective, if that's the situation. Do you share the same thoughts, Rama?
Yeah, I don't think that it's a non-issue. It's one of the most serious issues which has affected us in the last 20 or more years. Mm-hmm. So, and it's very important about our future going forward, not just with this president, but every subsequent president for the hundreds of years to come. So I don't look at it strictly in terms of in isolation of Article 101. I think it should be a wider discussion about our future going forward, about we're almost about to reach Vision 2020. What is the vision of Rwanda going forward over the next 20 years? Mm-hmm. What is the political program for how we deal with the final part of the transition from a state of war and genocide towards a middle income and
So it's an issue, and there's a debate around it. Do you feel the same when you look at the whole things that are happening right now, based on your expertise as a legal expert or as a lawyer? Are we following the right process when it comes to even handling this issue as we move forward to a possible referendum in the country?
Oh, thank you, Anangwe. In my own opinion, there is no need of even raising and maybe making an alarm. Mm-hmm. The laws are very clear, and they've provided avenues under which this can be done. So there is nothing like, there is a contravention of the law. You see, this is not more Rwandan. First and foremost, when you read Article 2 of the Rwandan Constitution, it is so clear that all power, not power, all power derives from people, and sovereignty also is derived from people, who shall exercise it through a referendum or through their representatives. Mm-hmm. What you've been all seeing, that people have petitioned the parliament, they are exercising their rights. So there is nothing out of square that we should be dealing with. The people are right. Yeah. But
at the same time, these same people that, as you say, are right, or there's no cause for alarm, we have quarters in the country that are saying, hey, they've even raised a red flag and said, let's plan to block a possible change or touching of this article, which we believe is intangible, should not be touched. What is your thoughts, also based on the legal perspective that you have?
Well, I happen to be a lawyer myself, and at the moment, we're seeing debate. There's free debate. We're seeing debate in Parliament. We're seeing now the MPs consulting the citizens. And Article 101 is not cast in stone. And there's no provision in the Constitution that is cast in stone for this matter. Also, when it comes to term limits, by the way, it's not customary international law. Term limits are about, it's something that has come, that has been external to Africa. Mm-hmm. So the debate about whether we change the Constitution or not ultimately rests on one important thing, the future of Rwanda. And that means what the people want, as my lawyer colleague was stressing, Article 2 of the Constitution. So it's about the future of Rwanda, but also more broadly, Rwanda is a unique country. We're now transitioning into more economic development, and that's what the people want. The people of Rwanda, obviously they've evaluated and seen the progress Rwanda has registered over the last 2 decades, and they've seen the kind of leadership we have in place. They've looked at it and said, this leadership we have in place through the leadership of President Kagame is fit for purpose. And therefore, it's about service delivery. It's about who is best suited to deliver for Rwanda. And in this instance, we have seen President Kagame has delivered beyond expectations. If you see where Rwanda has been the last, before the genocide, the country was just destroyed. When he came into power 20 years ago, he's really rebuilt the state fabric, and he's made a system that is efficient. Our economy is now growing at about 7.5%. We've achieved MDGs. Brand Kagame is attracting foreign investors into the country. Our country is basically on track. And so for Rwandans, this is so important. If you're a man in Rusizi, just the other day I was in Rusizi, the most important thing is not about term limits for you. The most important thing is economic development.
So as we say, the most important thing should not or is not term limits for you. Are we trying to say that we do not need term limits at all, Rama?
I suppose, you see, we are always held to the words that we've said before. And I remember before when the president said if it was just removing term limits for me to stay in power, that would be wrong, just for him to stay in power. And he also said that if I leave without creating a pathway for a successor to rule after me, I will have failed.
Listen, Rama.
So
No,
we can argue
let's
over the time framing that he was talking about at that time. But nonetheless, we have to find a long term. We need to look really long term. It's very easy to say that we're doing well now, so we should carry on. And so we should. But what is this? To look at this purely in the prism of 2017 is wrong. Because this will not just apply. You see in America, a constitutional amendment which was written 200 years ago. It still has validity now and it's still holding.
Objection to that.
So when you look at constitutional amendments, don't look immediately within a 2-3 year period, assuming that if anything comes wrong, we'll change it again. You see, this means that every future president, I would much rather Kagame be given that provision to go, but every president after him strictly does 2 5-year terms, because he's an exception. What we are giving this exceptionalism to every subsequent leader, and that is wrong because a lot of them will not be that good because he is one of a kind.
Let's have Benjamin. Yes. You had so many objections.
Oh, yes, because I don't subscribe to his school of thought. When he gives an example of America's constitution that has had 200 years in place, I don't subscribe to his school of thought once again when he says that, you see, President says that if I would change the position of the law in order to remain in power, it would be wrong.
So what do you subscribe to?
He himself is not the one who is saying that you people from Rusizi, maybe Nyamagabe or maybe Nyanza, you come and bring petitions. It's the will of the people. When you want to understand, for example, the Constitution, a person should first read the preamble. A preamble is the summary of what the Constitution is, of what the people want.
The context in which...
And it is so clear that we, the people of Rwanda, it does not say, I, Kagame. In view of the genocide, it goes, number one, in view of the genocide that was perpetrated, planned and supervised by unworthy leaders, if you can mark that, it means that the Rwandans were already beaten by the unworthy leaders. And now here, we cannot bring an example of America that has had a constitution since it got its independence, I think, in 1776. Rwanda got the independence in
Well,
the
what
60s.
I'm saying is that constitutional amendments last forever or until they are changed.
What I'm saying
So
here is,
what I'm saying is,
I still have the floor, my brother, because I think
Rwanda's constitution will be long term. It won't just be the next few years.
Oh yes, what I'm saying
I
is,
assume Rwanda will be here in 200 years.
if you've been bitten by a snake, our people have a saying that if you've been bitten by a snake, probably, and as a must, you have to fear the whole. The Rwandans have tasted the bit of the part of the bitterness the world has ever had.
And so they're not ready to go back.
They are not ready to go back.
So
But
let's
is
hear
that
from
an
Richard.
assumption that anyone
It's
who-
not an
is
assumption.
no, listen. Let me ask
This
you,
is real.
Let's
Let
give
me
him the
ask
floor
you
first
the
too, and then
question.
we go back to Richard. You want to defend
I just
your
wanted to
statement.
ask him a question. Does that mean that every subsequent leader after this is going to be equivalent to those 1994 genocidal leaders?
My
You're
position
making
here
an
is
assumption there.
our
that
people
everyone
still have a
is-
saying, my brother Ram. Our people,
Hawutinya ishyamba atinya icyo bahuriyemo.
no, our people still have a saying that what you have to be sure of is what you have had for a night. You cannot wait for that a good meal will come in 2 years when you already have potatoes
So
here.
basically what he's saying is we are judging our situation or talking our situation based on our experience.
We already have a good leader. Why shouldn't we gazette him, paddock him?
Okay.
Do
to
you,
remain?
do you share the same, are you in the same school of thought? Because Rama asks, if we're going to change now, are we going to change every time, or is it going to be cast on stone based on our emotions or our feelings at the particular moment?
Listen, this debate is not a Kagame project. We must start from that. It's not a Kagame project. This is about Rwanda. It's about the future of this country.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to this whole idea that Kagame has not nurtured leaders, we seated here, all of us
Of
are
course,
leaders.
I understand
listen.
that. I understand
No,
that.
listen.
Let's have it.
We are all leaders here. Look at us. All of us are leaders. Rwanda is increasingly sending people to school. We're getting young people coming into government positions.
I think the context
No,
of
wait,
nurturing
wait.
leaders is a president,
Y-
a successor,
No, wait,
someone
just a
who
second.
takes over.
Just a second. What we have in Rwanda at the moment, increasingly we're even seeing our leaders coming to the level, to becoming better leaders. And we're seeing the president, he has given a good example, so our leaders are trying to adapt to the president's methodology of leadership, which is transformational leadership. So we have two things in Rwanda. We have what we call leaders, and then we have an exceptional leader.
Oh, yeah?
You understand? So it's not that he's not nurturing leaders. We've not reached a level where we have
Okay,
an
then
exceptional leader like him.
If he's exceptional, then make the exception for him alone.
No,
don't
listen.
Don't give
No.
every single leader
No,
for
no,
the
listen.
next
Again.
100 years an unlimited
Again,
term.
let me be
not-
clear.
it's
Let
not
me stress
viable.
this again. Again, this is
Yeah.
not about President Kagame. This is about the future of Rwanda.
Oh, yeah?
So the future of Rwanda.
They
No,
are
listen,
linked.
listen,
They are
listen,
linked
listen,
at this
listen.
point. You
No,
cannot
listen.
separate the two.
Listen, Rama.
They are linked.
No, listen, Rama.
Yeah.
The future of Rwanda, as it stands at the moment, demands for him to continue to provide this kind of leadership.
Yes.
When you're a man seated in Rusizi Nyamasheche, or a woman seated in Rusizi Nyamasheche,
Yes.
what you need is not term limits. What you need is food on the table.
Oh, yeah?
That is what you need.
Service delivery.
Service-
So the quick question then on this issue, do we need term limits at all then? Because you say that what you need is food on the table. You do not need term limits. And my question again, the actual bullet of the question is, do we do away completely with term limits in Rwanda, or we just say exceptionally for President Paul Kagame, let's have this issue of Article 111 put on the side. Once we are done giving him, if we say another extra 7 years or another
Yes.
extra 2 years, then we put it back
No,
to
no,
what we had
guys.
decided.
Now,
What
the
do we
issue
want?
here.
What do we want?
No, the issue is not about term limits. In fact, let's go more broad in Africa. The issue has never been about term limits. The issue in Africa has always been about service delivery. And the issue has always been presidents who try to cling on power, yet they're not delivering. That is the issue. It's not about term limits. Term limits have never been an issue in Africa. The problem of Africa is not about term limits. The problem of Africa inherently is about a leader delivering for his people. So in this case, in Rwanda's special instance, for example, Rwanda's context, you have a leader who is delivering for the people.
Yeah.
So it's different from other places, and we must always remember the uniqueness of Rwanda, because the uniqueness of Rwanda demands that we're at a point where economic development should take precedent over any other issue. So term limits or no term
But
limits,
there's
non-starter.
another question to that. That is the fragility of the mortality of people. And there, I don't want to go into the details of it, but it's better to have a conveyor belt of 10 guys who could do that job, you know.
But you know,
in
Rama,
succession.
What
know,
are you trying
Rama,
to say then?
in
Are
the
you saying
sense
that
that-
we need to have
In the
had...
sense that at the end of the day, we have got to believe that we as Rwandans are also part of this great development thing. We were not blindly led. We were led by a great leader, but we also had a tremendous input into it. And it also, a leader needs people to follow him and to obey and to
Isn't that the
buy
situation
in
today?
and to buy into it.
Isn't that the situation?
That is the situation. But then, ideally, you just want a system which works on its own like clockwork. And that is what that's what this government will have to do within the next 10 years, is to have a system that is just like clockwork, that can just elect new leaders and elect new transition, and you're going by a program, not by your personal, wishes or something. You're going by a 50-year program.
Benjamin,
So-
are we ready to go with a program and not by the situations that surround us? Could this be the ideal situation based on what Rama is saying?
You see, my brother Rama, I don't get the concept under which he lies, because you realize that what he's basing on, he's forgetting the fact that all the power as the law has it and the sovereignty is within the hands of the people. It's as if you may be having maybe a house and you have your door.
That is
you
idealism.
can lock it, you
That's
can open it,
idealism
you
at
can...
its best.
No, but the law
It
has
is
it.
idealism.
It is not idealism. The people have it
idealism.
and have exercised it. For example, if Article 101 says that no person can run more than 2 terms, Article 193 provides that in case where there is an amendment that touches the issues of a president, or where there is democracy, the issues of democratic governance, in that respect, it shall be by a referendum, or through his people, or through the people. And it says that the same Article 193, that this article shall not be amended.
Which says that the president can
Meaning
call a
that,
referendum anyway.
meaning that in the whole Constitution, it is one article which is said not to be amended, and it is very express. Article 193, that this article shall not be amended, impliedly meaning that all articles can be amended apart from 193, and the Rwandans need to amend Article 101.
And critics of this whole campaign or the plan to amend the Constitution, especially Article 101, have been saying that the same article cannot be changed under no circumstance. So from the legal perspective,
guys,
I would love to understand
yeah.
how do we make them understand that this is possible when they insist that it is said that under no circumstance, whether the leader of the current time is a good leader or not a good leader, it cannot be changed.
Okay, now let's go to the basics. What is the Constitution? A Constitution is there to regulate the governed, the people and the governed.
The governors and the governed.
And the governed. So it's there to regulate the relationship between the citizen and the state, in simple terms, citizens and the state. So the Constitution is put by the citizens, right? The very citizens are the ones with the power to amend the Constitution.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, if the citizens
But
do
then-
no, wait.
Yeah.
If the citizens do not have the power to amend the Constitution, then that is not a Constitution. That's another piece of document. So in Rwanda's special case, of course, there's Article 101, there's Article 193 that provides for referendum. But most importantly, even before you go into the articles, one must understand that when interpreting a constitution, any constitution, you must interpret it as a whole.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
This
As
is
a-
why
no,
I wanted us
wait,
to talk
Rama.
about
No, let's- no,
Articles
wait.
99 to 150.
Wait.
You cannot talk about
Rama,
101
no,
on its
listen.
own.
This is the point we're trying to make here.
Yeah.
The Constitution you interpret it as a whole. You cannot say this provision is so special, it cannot be changed. That is a non-starter. The Constitution provides frameworks within which it can be amended. Yeah. Now, we all must agree that in this special instance, Article 2 provides the people with the power to amend it. Now, the question you could ask is, why are the people, or why do the people want to amend the Constitution? That's the more relevant question. Now, to answer that question, therefore, the people want to amend the Constitution because President Kagame has delivered. That is why you see, no wait, that is why you see, they want to amend the Constitution. They appreciate that this leader they have in place has delivered social and economic transformation. Now, if you're a citizen in Nyagatare, for example, all you're looking for is the delivery of public goods. That is what you're looking for.
Good roads.
Delivery of public goods. And that is what he has delivered in the last few years. He has ensured that MDGs are achieved in Rwanda. Now then the question, wait.
Why are you trying to make it as if I hate him?
No. This is not.
Don't go there.
No.
I mean, I am pro a third term.
Yes.
But we have to discuss it properly, and not just in terms of personality.
No, it's not a personality. It's not a personality.
Against
Again, let's go back to the basics.
Yes.
The basics I started on. President Kagame has never asked for that term. He's not requesting Rwandan people for that term, right? It's the people asking him to continue his leadership. And he has not yet made a decision on whether he's going for that term or not.
Unless he has a contrary view.
Right? People are, that's why you see parliamentarians are consulting the people to hear exactly what do the people want. And increasingly we are saying, seeing an appreciation of his leadership. Now, Rama, do you have anything to disagree with that?
Listen, before we go even to the disagreement, Rama brings in a key point and says, you know what, there are those who are pro another term or the change of the Constitution. But what they're feeling is that we need to really critically look into certain issues and not just go blindly into this whole conversation of let's change or let's not change. Some people are saying it's no longer about those who are pro and those who are against. We can have all of us being pro, but let's look at the key things that are of importance when it comes to this particular issue. And this is why I want us to bring in that particular element before we go for the break. So what are those key things that you feel we are doing wrong today?
The reason why we are amending Article 101 is because of Article 113. And Article 113 is the article that defines the presidential powers of appointments from cabinet to the military to ambassadors to MPs. So the thought of giving power to some unknown, even if we knew that person, the thought they have not ruled before, they have not held ultimate power before, and you're trusting them with all this power. And you know, in Africa, power, like I said, is not like a thing that you just hand over and say, this is now power, you have power. Power is something power is something that the people have to accept from you. So there's even a risk that if a new successor was selected, the people might not accept. You know? The people might want the same they've had before.
Does this carry any water?
No. Let's go back to
transition
again.
Because a transition would be truly traumatic
again, Rama.
Because almost everything would be changed, and for that reason, we just have to carry on.
Rama, again, just a second.
You went too long. Let's have Benjamin first, and then you'll come in.
Okay.
Yes.
If I may respond to Brother Rama's concern. That he says that the president is given much power, from appointing the vice, the ambassadors, the minister of defense,
the police, everybody.
His concern is the power.
No, that is why we can't give it to another person.
But if I may ask,
and that is why we cannot have a transition, while that Article 113 is that powerful.
If I may ask, Anangwe, if this is my bed, and I want to sleep facing the other side.
No, you can't. It's too small.
No, what I'm saying is, supposing this is my bed and I want to face the other side, I may sleep like that. If tomorrow I want to face this side, I will.
Because it's yours.
So, if I have the power as a Rwandan, and my power is exhibited in the Constitution, why shouldn't I give the person I want the power?
You see,
That's what the
like,
Rwandans have done.
I agree
They've
with Plato
said that
in some respects.
They
He
said that since this person has been good to us, or maybe we've appointed him and elected him, for that matter, let him have this. There is no problem with them having him.
Plato disagreed with democracy fundamentally because he said that if everyone decided to do the wrong thing, everything should be judged on its merits, not according to how many people think a certain way. There was a certain time when this world was flat. You could get killed for saying that the world was round. And there were people, if you dared say anything, you get killed.
What's your point there?
That is the point.
My point is,
what's your point?
My point is that we need critical. We used to have a chief in the colonial times called Rgubu Sisi. Now he used to see himself as the person who says the unsayable, the unthinkable, the thing which everyone is avoiding to say. And he would even slap himself before he said it. I slap myself, I apologize for what I'm about to say. And he would say it. And he did not believe that because everyone agrees that something is right.
Relevance to this discussion?
Relevance is that constitutional courts often turn down democratic laws because they view them as unconstitutional. For example, look at gay marriage in America, how the constitutional court decided that above people's votes. So sometimes that is why we have three areas of government: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. The judiciary is not meant to look at what is popular at the day, what is flavor of the month. They're supposed to look long term, regardless of political or democratic pressures, and look long term what is favorable for the country. And they can overturn, in often many cases, they overturn the will of the people. So the idea that the will of the people is the final binding thing is also not true. The Constitution,
Objection to that.
if it is against or detrimental to the Constitution, then the Constitution comes above the will of the people.
We're gonna
in
come
94, the will of the people was what?
We will come back on that particular note on whether the will of the people can also be overturned and if it cannot be overturned when we come back. And of course, move the conversation even forward. What if eventually, if there's a change in the Constitution and the President, Paul Kagame himself, says, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to take over this position that you want me to continue doing. What happens next? These are some of the questions that probably we need to be asking ourselves.
I need to
but
finish
when
up.
we come back, after we have to take the break. My directors are telling me we need to move to the short break, but we're coming back in a very short while. Yeah. Keep tweeting, talk to us, let us know what your thoughts are on this particular issue, because today, Debate 101 is meeting Debate 411. We're back in a moment. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being with us on Debate 411. Many thanks for tweeting. Many thanks for the feedback on the programs that we've been having right here. And you can definitely be part of the conversation by just tagging Debate 411. That is the hashtag to use. Or you can leave your comment on my Facebook page, Eugene Anangwe, and we'll be happy to check them through and, of course, hear what your thoughts are. Today, we are talking about the issue of the third term or the term limits. And, of course, we're calling it the Debate 411 and Debate 101 meeting point. And my guests in studio, we have Richard, we have Rama, and Benjamin. Welcome back. Before we went for the break, Rama was mentioning something concerning what the judiciary can do versus what the will of the people is, and whether it can overrule, and whether the will of the people, always carries the day. And you are all eager to come in and say something about it. Do you believe in that particular school of thought from the legal perspective?
Yeah. To be honest with you, sometimes the elite, we want to presume we know better than the people. That is always the danger of the elite. They want to believe they know better than the people. That's when arguments like you can supersede the will of the people come in. So there can be no way you can say the will of the people doesn't matter. At the end of the day,
not that it doesn't matter.
Wait, just a second.
I didn't say that.
At the end of the day,
said it can be wrong.
The will of the people is never wrong because the people know what they want.
Oh
no,
no!
wait.
That's so.
Wait, Rwanda.
Okay.
Article 2 of the Constitution of Rwanda.
People voted for Hitler.
No.
So they weren't wrong. Carry on.
Article
So,
2.
Let's first hear from
You know, we should stop this whole idea of simplifying this debate. This debate means the lives of the people of Rwanda.
So the people are always right.
The people are always right. The people are given the power in the Constitution to decide what is good for them. If the people of Rwanda, and we are seeing today, have chosen that they want the current stability, economic development the country is taking to continue, that is the will of the people.
And Rama doesn't seem to agree with that and says, okay, sometimes the people can be wrong. Do you want to defend that?
Absolutely. People can be manipulated, and not in this situation. I'm not saying in this current situation. Okay. But there are so many times in history, even in Rwanda, where people have been manipulated for bad, especially when you have an uneducated, illiterate electorate that is poor, that can be... But Rwanda, they have been bribed with development, and that's good. That's a good thing. But what I'm saying is that constitutionally, sometimes people can demand something which contradicts another clause, which contradicts another article. You see? And that is when they're wrong. Not when their view is wrong, but when it contradicts another opinion. You can have two contradictory opinions and you don't even know it.
He's objecting. He doesn't agree with that.
So sometimes you have contradictory opinions.
Let's hear from Benjamin.
And you have to pick one.
Brother Rama says that the people sometimes can demand something which is contradictory of either one or two articles.
Of even their own opinions.
Oh, yes. But what he should understand is that where there is, first and foremost, there are rules set for an interpretation of a certain piece of document, a statutory interpretation. But when it comes to a constitution, because here it has been also an issue that you see Article 101 talks of this, Article 193 talks of this, seems to be a contradictory. In a situation where there is a hiccup between articles of a constitution, there is a statutory interpretation rule that is called the rule of harmonization that is always applied. This is to the effect that where there is a contradiction between two articles of a constitution, then court shall come in to make a clear harmonization of this. This has been, I think, the first time in Rwanda it has happened, but it has happened in different parts, and locus classicus cases have been put across. Look at the case, for example, of General Tinyafuza versus Attorney General, a constitutional appeal number 1 of 1997. It was a Supreme Court ruling of Uganda, which was in affirmament of the court's ruling of U.S. Smith Dakota versus South Carolina, I think, of 1940, which was to the effect that where there is a contradiction, a constitution has to be an integrated whole when it is to be interpreted. And where there has to be a contradiction between the two, the courts have to come in to make a completeness, an exhaustiveness, and paramountcy so that it can have a meaning.
There are people who are saying that it's a done deal. You know, based on what is happening today, it's a done deal. This thing is already going to be done.
No.
Is this true? Can anything change at this moment?
No, the debate still continues. This is not a done deal. That's why the MPs are consulting. We do not even know what is going to come out of the consultations, for example. We do not know whether the president will even accept the will of the people. We do not know. The debate still continues. That's why we're having this debate here. Otherwise, if it was a done deal, I don't think we'd be having this debate. But just to answer some of the, about this term limits thing. You know, in Singapore, I'll give you an example of Singapore. Back in the day, Lee Kuan Yew the Great was always criticized that he has been long in power. But if you see what he did for Singapore, when I was a student in Singapore, for example, and I interacted with Singaporeans, they did not have this illusion about term limits. They did not have this illusion. All they needed when I was in Singapore and interacted with students there, their main concern was who is best placed to take Singapore to the next level. It was never about It was never about this whole idea
number
of the number
years
of, the number of
staying
years
in power.
somebody's been in power. So equally in Rwanda here, we should not get ourselves pre-concerned about term limits or not term limits. What is very important,
it must be about
Yes.
a lot more than just Article 101, because Article 101 does not hang in the air. Like he said, it's part of a whole. It's part of something wider. And going to his Singapore comparison, we are similar in the sense that due to the very strong executive powers, it actually helps development. It pushes development a lot forward, a lot quicker than it was if we were just debating every single clause or every single article and for weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, Rwanda, it's good that we can pass over 100 laws in a year, you know, whereas in UK or America and those established democracies, they only pass 3 or 4, and that's with so much quarreling and bickering. So definitely, the strong powers of the executive are essential for development, especially when you have a good leader.
But you're having a problem with that issue of
I'm saying that if there is going to be any future transition to a successor or even to an opposition,
we go back to the drawing board again.
you have to go back to the
Anangwe.
drawing board with this
Benjamin.
constitution, because it's too powerful that I cannot allow that.
On that and on the issue of whether this is already a done deal, is it a done deal? Do you feel that something along the way can change and reverse what we are seeing today? Because some people are already arguing and saying there's no need of even thinking twice. This thing, we're changing it.
First and foremost, it's not a done deal. One, we are still debating, and there is even a decision. There is a decision to be taken by their lordships in the Supreme Court. As you understand, the Green Party is already in court. But should there be a reverse of the other of what is being advocated for by the people, there are a few things that will happen. There is a prediction that in 2016, some people will be shifting from Rwanda because their future is not certain. Maybe their leader they wanted, who has shown them the way, who has brought good development, who has built roads, who has given the accessibility
Who
of
they
it
want
where
to
and
stay is not going to stay.
yeah, there is a possibility. Supposing it remains the status quo that the president and maybe the constitution is to be amended, I suppose there will be countrywide jubilations. But supposing their lordships in the coming decision, they say that, you see, now you cannot change the constitution, let it remain like that, there is a possibility that there will be chaos. And even petitioning the East African Court of Justice, because as you remember that Article 6D of the East African Community, East African Treaty, is to the effect that all member states have to adhere to principles of natural justice, of good governance, and of equality. So, supposing the status quo of the constitution remains and there is no amendment, any member of the state, of Rwanda as a state, can petition the East African Court of Justice on the grounds of Article 6D, because they've been not given time or chance to do what they want.
What they wanted.
Yeah.
Rama, from a blogger's perspective, from a journalistic perspective,
Yeah.
what do you read? Do you feel it's a done deal, or you think
I think
we're still a long way with this
my
issue?
opinions on this, especially the parliamentary sessions, I was, to put it mildly, kind of embarrassed. I thought that we would have, this was the world was focusing on Rwanda, saying, okay, what level of democratic development have they had in the last 20 years? Can they have healthy debate without shouting, without falling out? And to see every MP, one after the other, just saying, yeah, I'm just 100% for it. I'm just 100% for it. And then I said they should have planted some dissenters in there.
Really?
And they said, why do you want to bring political theater? And I said, do you know how important political theater is in preserving a nation? The MPs quarrel there so people on the street don't have to kill each other. That is what political theater is about. And theater can save a nation. If you can debate the issues openly, without violence, with dignity, with respect for each other, and at the end of the day, accept each other's position, you have diffused all the tension within the country.
He feels we needed some drama
in
Parliament.
Drama is needed in life.
We didn't need to see every
You
MP
don't need
saying
to
I
see, like, you look like a communist. You looked at like a communist country.
Again,
like
Rama.
it was communist.
Again.
Let's hear from Richard first.
Again, you know the elite have a problem. You always want to believe that your opinion supersedes the people. No. Wait, the debate that was happening in Parliament is a debate about the future of Rwanda. When I saw the debate, actually I went to the Parliament myself. The whole house was full of people, MPs and ordinary Rwandan citizens. Wait,
they are all appointed.
No, wait.
Therefore, they have to.
No, wait. Listen.
Let's keep hearing from Richard.
No, wait, Rama. The whole house was full of MPs and ordinary Rwandan people. Ordinary Rwandan people who some of them had petitioned Parliament to actually have the constitution amended.
His problem and those who are...
out of 11 million people, there's not even one Rwandan who dissents? I found that very strange.
No, listen,
not
Rama.
even one human being.
But if you agree,
one by one.
But if you agree, why should you?
Even one
Rama?
person? Even when the...
But here you were.
When the Catholic Church used to have the Spanish Inquisition, they used to appoint the devil's advocate. The one to articulate the other point of view, to say, because even the devil has a point of view, however sick or disgusting.
I believe Parliament has a public gallery, right?
No one is...
Where ordinary people can also be there and have a say.
It is a huge problem,
the question
because down the road, people will say that they were forced.
No, it's not a problem.
That's what's going to happen.
If I agree and subscribe to the point of view,
down the road,
why
people
should
are going to say they were forced.
Rama, again, like I've kept on insisting.
If you had an open discussion where people come to a conclusion, that would be fine.
The question is, does the law, I have legal experts on the panel today, and does the law allow ordinary people like Rama to come and also be part of that debate?
Of course it does.
So why wouldn't you have gone there to even play this devil's advocate?
Why would I put myself in that position?
Why wouldn't you go there?
Would you have to? My mother would ask me, why does it have to be you? Of all the people,
it's your nation.
It's your nation. It's your future.
My mother said, let some other stupid idiot go and do it and suffer the consequences.
Again, like I kept on insisting throughout this show.
Yes.
You know, the elite must never believe, like yourself.
I am not an elite. You keep referring to me as an elite, as if to dismiss me.
No, I'm not dismissing you.
People.
As you say that
my bank account statement does not reflect that elite status.
Let's talk of a statement that was made when we talk of statements here. There was a statement that was made by President Obama just a few days at the African Union headquarters. He mentioned something concerning issues of leaders who want to cling on to power, and he was saying that, you know what, you need to give up power. Especially, why would you stay on, even based on the fact that even you are rich already? You know, I'm just paraphrasing some of the statements that you said. We all know what he said there. Do we buy or go with the same school of thought? Do we feel that probably Obama doesn't understand the context of those countries that have leaders who have been in power for long periods of time? I'll start with Rama again. And then
there's a play called A Man for All Seasons, and it's about Thomas More and Henry VI. But Henry VI, he says, they follow me because I'm the lion and they are my jackals. As in, there are certain people who eat off the plate of the big lion. And those people, they are the ones who are more fearful of the lion leaving than the actual lion. The lion will always feed himself. He'll be fine. He doesn't have that problem. But what you have in Africa is incumbency is not the individual on top. The incumbency is the whole system around him. And the fear that removing this individual will require a total surgery. A total surgery of removing everything. And then starting again from afresh. And then all that disruption. So for that reason, most Africans would rather leaders stay on long term than to have the trauma of transition. Because we have not yet developed institutions. People are still institutions. And you know, we believe in human institutions. Like we believe we cannot trust the constitution. We can trust the word of a man. A man who has never let
The
us
actual bottom
down.
of the question is, what are our views on this statement that was made on President Obama vis-a-vis the context that we have in Rwanda, for example, and other countries that we have leaders who have been in power, or who probably, like in Burundi, the term was the term of the president, based on those who are arguing and saying that he should leave, his term was up, but he continued on. So based on what President of the US was saying, do we buy what he says, that these leaders or some of these leaders should go, or we feel that probably this is just an outsider who doesn't understand what happens in our land?
Oh yeah, thank you, Anangwe. His statements, I don't find them welcome, in particular Rwanda. They may be welcome in other countries, but not for Rwanda. And what he said and his statements, he did not put into considerations maybe the life and where different countries have come from. America has never had genocide.
They had a genocide of the Native Americans.
But the Red Indians, it was not categorized as genocide. So as per the current position, it's not genocide.
Carry on.
So Rwanda's position and the statements of Obama are not welcome in the instant. Why should Rwandans go to meander into the bush? Yet we already have someone who can give us good roads, who can give us good hospitals, who can give us working institutions, who can give us security. If I'm to leave my bicycle here, I can go there and fetch something and I find it here. Who can give us everything? Why shouldn't I retain that one? So, as per Rwanda's position,
Not welcome at all.
not welcome.
Richard, he said, he was categorical. He said, if I wanted to run for another term in US, I would win.
Yeah.
But I can't, because the rules don't allow me to do that. And he was specific and says, to those African leaders who want to change the rules of the game in the middle of the game, it is wrong. Do you welcome these statements?
Obama's statements is just a one-size-fits-all for democracy, or term limits for this debate. You know, Obama's statements could be applicable to the US, but in Rwanda's special case, they're not very applicable. Why? In Rwanda, we're still transitioning from a country that just experienced a genocide 21 years ago, right? We still have FDLR roaming around the streets of Europe and even next door in Congo. We still have a country that still needs to develop, right? We still have a country that is starting to actually become a more solid and unified country. The coexistence in Rwanda, it's getting more and more unified. So, and we have a country now that feels we are a dignified society. This is the Gachiro our president keeps talking about. It's kicking off.
So he doesn't understand that.
Yeah,
if he was mentioning or talking in the context of Rwanda, he's missed the point.
He's missed the point. You see, the Gachiro the president keeps talking about. It's when you go to the rural areas, especially, you feel it. You feel people are dignified. You see people dressed properly. You see people smart. Then you realize what people need in life is not a term limits debate. What people need in life is a continuity of this kind of leadership, the one that delivers for them. You know, it's not about whether a leader stays in power for long. It's what the leader does when he's in power.
The track record.
Yeah.
Our president has often declared admiration for Nyerere, and he considers him as one of his political heroes. Now, Nyerere, when his political capital was at an all-time high, he appointed a successor, and he oversaw 3 presidents in succession. There was a time even when Kikwete was going to be elected in 95, and he told him no. Yet the party had decided, said, you're not ready. You're not ready to take
Again, let me interject on
what
this.
I'm saying is that...
What's his point? Let's find out what his point is.
Our president could use this high legitimacy that he has at all times, power.
Let me interject on this. Let me interject on this.
Mr. Rama is missing.
Let me interject on this.
Mr. Rama is missing a point.
Let me interject on this.
3-4 presidents, then we can say that.
So at his all-time high, he needs to say,
Let me interject.
Mr. Rama is
Yeah,
listening.
let me transfer this to
Again,
another.
again, people,
Richard, very
But
briefly.
very
that is
briefly.
just one idea.
Very
That's
Yeah,
what
you know,
you'll
wait,
have
just
to
a
do
second.
eventually.
Just a
Whether
second.
it's in 2024 or 2031, you have to transfer that legitimacy, that power, that authority that he has.
Again.
Richard, as you answer that, let's look 15, 20 years
Yeah.
from now.
Again.
What happens?
Again,
Life
let's-
after, Paul Kagame himself.
Let me tell you.
What do we do from there?
Let me
and are we centralizing this whole debate on one person?
Let me
What
tell
if he
you.
says no? That I'm not going to stay on. What do we do to these thousands and millions of people who have petitioned, specifically him, saying that we want you to continue? What do we do from there?
Again, let's start from what he's saying. He cannot anoint somebody to be president. This is not a monarchy. Wait.
It's not
This
anointing.
No, wait. He cannot anoint. This is not a
not
monarchy.
anointing.
This is a republic.
He didn't-
Wait, number two. Rama, first relax a bit. Yeah?
We have 2 minutes.
Rwanda,
Literally.
Rwanda still needs stability. This is a country that's just 21 years down the line is starting to develop. Rwanda still needs to develop further. Rwanda still needs leaders to be more accountable. Rwanda still needs to maintain brand Kagame so as to attract foreign investors coming into the country. So, the idea that and history tells us, we've seen what happened with Bizimungu, that one guy becomes a president, another guy runs the things behind it. That doesn't
It's
work.
not good.
That formula has never worked anywhere and will not work in Rwanda. What we need in Rwanda is a leader who can guarantee us economic and social transformation for a prolonged period of
Peace
time.
and unity.
Otherwise, the rest is just a gamble.
Richard, Dan, your point is home and dry. Very quickly, we're sharing the remaining 60 seconds as our closing remarks. Based on that issue of moving the conversation forward, what do we do after, let's say, 15 years or 20 years? Are we centralizing this discussion on one person? What if he was to say, all right, asanteni sana, thank you for the trust in me and the belief, but I'm sorry, honorably, I will not be able to take this request. What do we do from there?
Okay. Should the president, after supposedly the constitution is amended, and the president, His Excellency Paul Kagame, says that, no, I'm done. It will mean there is what they call, our people have a saying, a word of akangarate ticheragate, being left without roots but hanging. It will mean that the Rwandans are not certain of someone who will have to come. And so, I would appeal to the president. If it is amended, let him swallow it and take it and groom a person for posterity's sake.
Okay. Rama, you have any closing thoughts?
No,
Very
I don't really have much to say. I've said what I believe that he should get another term, and but the process in which how we do it, it has to be a wider question about the constitution. You can't just amend one; it has to amend others. And
Do we overhaul the whole constitution and do an amendment?
eventually,
to our
there's no
constitution?
way anyone else could be able to rule with this constitution. So when he leaves, we start with a brand new constitution. This one is gone.
Done.
No last
That's
remark
the
for me.
unfortunate part. But you want to add one sentence?
Yeah.
One sentence.
Yeah.
only.
Rwanda will only be ready for another leader if our leaders become more accountable, if the country is stable,
When
continues
will
the
that
stability.
happen? When do you think that will happen?
When our economy is growing at a GDP growth of about maybe 20%.
Timeline?
20, that's
where-
never happened.
It's going to
anywhere.
happen.
It's never happened.
When we started
20%.
Rwanda's journey, people said we'll never do it.
20% a year.
No,
That's
wait.
never happened.
No, when-
anywhere.
Why
Gentlemen,
not?
we are done.
never
You can keep
happened
talking,
anywhere
but we are
now.
done. I'm told our time is up, but this is a conversation that we definitely need to keep having. And of course, thank you for your insights, and I wish you all the best. There you have it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your feedback. Let's keep talking. It ends here, but we keep talking on our social media platforms. And all you need to do is just use the hashtag debate411. Let us know what your thoughts are. What do you think? Some of the questions and the answers that we've had here on the program, you can as well give your own opinion or your suggestion to some of those questions. We'll see you again next time. If you missed this one, catch it on my website, anangwe.com, or we'll see you again next time. Goodbye for now. I'm Eugene Anangwe.